Up next on the Forum, we continue our series on suicide prevention and awareness with some guidance for families who are facing their first holiday season after the loss of a loved one. Meet Norfolk's new special assistant to the city manager for Veteran Services and Military Affairs, and learn about a little-known VA benefit that's gaining attention for what it may or may not provide. Human Services Forum begins right now. Hello and welcome to the Forum. The holiday season is a time to celebrate family traditions, but for those who have recently lost a loved one, it can be overwhelming. We have some guidelines and resources that may help you cope, and we'd also like to introduce you to that person, and she is Sue. And Sue, I'm so sorry, I just kind of lost my place in all of this. And Sue Dempsey is with the Virginia Beach, or First Colonial Psychotherapy Services, and she also helps with a suicide survivor support group called Still Standing. So she is there for meetings and has dealt extensively with people who are bearing their souls, among others who have experienced similar losses. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jen.
And thank you so much for sharing some of your wisdom, which you have, of course, told me you gain from listening and hearing from other people who've been through a tough time, the holidays being particularly difficult.
That's right. Loss is intensified during the holidays, especially for those people who've lost someone very recently. And the suggestions I would have for them is create a plan. Don't embrace the holiday unexpectedly. You want to have a plan and expect that plan to change. And with that, it's really important to communicate with the people that love you the most and express your needs and desires. Let them know what you need throughout the holidays. And also be mindful that their desires and needs might be very different from yours. So see if you cannot come up with a compromise and respect one another. You might want to isolate yourself and just be by yourself through the holiday. And I would say you can do that some, but you want to balance it and surround yourself with those who love you and care about you. And you don't want to immerse yourself too much in the sadness. And
yeah, it's not good to isolate yourself too much. You're absolutely right. You need that distraction, if you can even call it that, but also just the support, the loving support of others, friends and family. You mentioned the idea of how, it's important to be able to work out something amongst family members and talk, although this is a time when I think the individual personality can really come out to the forefront. And that's where conflict can result. But people fear conflict and then confrontation, so they don't do anything, which can then lead to the isolation or just tension that can be almost unbearable for some, because they just feel that nobody's talking, but nobody wants to.
And
how do you get people to work through that wall?
Everybody is very different. Everybody experiences grief differently, and it's just really important to know that your feelings are very real and just. But also know that other people, even though they may be very different, to respect that as well. And surround yourself with people that do really understand you
and support you.
Yes. And you mentioned distraction. I just want to bring that up, if you don't mind. I think it is important to have an element of distraction throughout the holidays. And that I have a very dear friend who lost her father through suicide, and they picked up and went to Disney for Christmas. Now, I realize not everybody can finance a Disney vacation for Christmas, but do something different. If you typically stay at home for the holiday, it might be nice to go out and just do something different. Do a weekend getaway if you can. It's just nice to have a distraction so that you're not fully immersed in the sadness. But at the same time, you can continue some of those traditions with your loved one included. I have a friend who hung a stocking with her loved one's name on it, and instead of putting goodies in there, you put your thoughts and your feelings and your memories, and you can share those with your family members. It may be too difficult to do that, so you want to make sure everybody involved is on board with that decision.
They understand what it is you're doing.
Right.
Yes.
Or you can light a candle or make an ornament. You can embrace the spirit of giving and volunteer at a soup kitchen for the holiday, just to kind of get out of your skin a little bit. It's really important. But I'm not sure I answered your question about how to deal with family conflict throughout the holidays.
Yeah.
I think it's just really important to be aware of how you feel, to recognize it, to talk when you're ready to talk. You don't want to force yourself. Be mindful of how you feel. And if you're mindful of how you feel and you share those feelings, you'll be better off.
Yeah. Again, a tough time for people to think about what was and what will be, and perhaps the anticipation can be even worse than the actual moment.
Yes.
I'd been reading some of the things on a website about how some other people had coped with it, and one family found that, you know, if they kept everything exactly the same, they didn't change a thing, and they found that that was just the trigger to more grief, so they altered their way of celebrating a certain holiday because it was just too much of a reminder of the absence of the person,
Right.
the way they had done it. That may not be the case for another family who may feel that that's an opportunity to celebrate their life and all those, you know, those wonderful things about the person, but each family is different.
That is true, and I think it's important to expect the unexpected. You might feel that you can anticipate how you're going to experience the day, and that may change, and just be ready for it to change.
This is a very raw time for people anyway, so when you've got the expectations that come along with holiday celebrations, it's a really difficult.
I agree, and if I could speak on that, I think it's really important to lower the expectations of yourself for the holiday. We are all overwhelmed during the holidays. It's okay to say no if you don't want to go to a party. If you don't want to go to the mall and go shopping, shop online or shop through catalogs. People will understand if you just let them know you're not up for it. I don't feel like going to the mall because I'm not ready to see smiling faces. I cannot even conceive of the fact that people are celebrating when I've lost a loved one. It's almost surreal to them.
Right. And this is true for those who've lost someone to suicide, someone who've lost a parent or a child for other reasons. It's a very, very tough time, but it does. The holidays will come around every year like they always do. How you deal with them is very much up to how you want to and how you express yourself to others, which is important because you still have to be true to yourself.
That's right.
It's tough, and it sounds very philosophical, but it is so true. You have to communicate somehow how you feel so that people don't either offend you, upset you, and they don't even know why.
That's right.
Yeah.
The concept of who you once were will be changed by the loss of a loved one, especially by suicide. So it's important to eventually regain that concept and regain your identity of who you are. And you can do that through the support of loved ones, reaching out to others.
Great. And the support group with which Sue works, Still Standing, does have a website and a phone number you can call if you're interested in joining the group. Elaine Roberts, who appears on our show regularly, had started this group up in Virginia Beach, but it's open to people anywhere in the area. So you can call her or go online and get more information on resources for now and for the holidays and traditions. Sue, thank you for joining me for what is considered, I think, it's a very important discussion that family members need to have, but a very difficult one for them.
That's right.
So maybe this will help them just a little bit.
It's my honor to be here, and I really appreciate increasing the awareness of this very important difficulty that many people experience.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, don't go away because we have the new special assistant to the city manager for Veteran Services and Military Affairs when we come back.
some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making Home Affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Welcome back to Human Services Forum. We have with us now the Special Assistant to the City Manager for Veterans Services and Military Affairs. This is John Andrews, and he has come to the city recently to work with us, the services the city can provide to help military and those transitioning to the civilian sector to gain employment or the skills in order to get jobs in the civilian sector. And welcome to the show, and welcome to the city of Norfolk. I know you have a lot on your plate, and you have a lot of information, so we may as well lay the groundwork with just some basic information about how many in the Hampton Roads region are transitioning from the military into the civilian sector each year. Do we have a sense of just what that volume is?
Jan, yes, ma'am, we do. Historically, 13,000 to 16,000 transition each year locally. And nationwide, over 300,000 people transition from active service to the civilian sector.
Wow!
And as a point of what they do and where they go there, it's been proven that 1/3 of those people stay where they were located. 1/3 of those people go to their home of records, and 1/3 of those people go to where the jobs are. So I'm going to focus my efforts here on the ones who are looking for the jobs and the ones who have chosen to stay here.
Okay, so what part of what you do is to make sure that those people are hooked up with their skills or what they need to know in order to gain employment with employers who are here or to bring employers to the area.
Absolutely. That's a huge source of talent. There's proven qualities and benefits for veterans. You know, as an example, only 25% of the high school graduates right now are even eligible to join the military.
They are not?
They only 25% are.
Only 25%
yes, ma'am.
are?
Yes, ma'am. So you've got a screening process that's already happened. Then you have an individual man or woman who's proven himself in a hard environment. They've gained skills. They've worked in a diverse environment and really bring a lot of talent and a lot of capability to not just to the workforce, but to the community as well. You
get a lot of inquiries about employment.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
I do. So that's my process right now. You know, I have individuals say, call up and say, I'd like to hire somebody with this sort of expertise or experience. And I'm working with the Commonwealth of Virginia right now through the Virginia Values Veterans Initiative. Mm-hmm. V3 is the acronym to really focus on employers, the people who want to hire veterans and transitioning military personnel.
Because they want to hire, don't they?
They do want to hire, yes, ma'am. And there's a need. Ship repair and ship construction in the area. The average age of the workforce is 55 right now. In the next 5 years, there's an estimate that there'll be 20,000 new jobs created. So these people, this industry specifically, is looking for transitioning personnel and veterans to come in and meet their need.
Wow. So there is a huge opportunity.
There is, but not just in ship construction and ship repair. I think there's an opportunity for us to attract and create new industry. With Navy Cyber Forces moving out to the old GIFCOM building in Suffolk, that's a real center for cybersecurity now, and there's just nothing but an opportunity to grow. And cybersecurity is not unique to the military. So we want to have a pool of talented labor there that can create a labor pool for industries that do that. The Virginia Modeling and Simulation Center is state-of-the-art for modeling and simulation, and the people right across the street at ODU have a wonderful program to develop that. And then finally, with unmanned aerial systems or unmanned aerial vehicles, there's proven utility in the military sector for that, but there's a great deal of potential in the civilian sector as well. So that's a very transferable skill that we could put into that development of that industry and experience growth here in the region.
One of the challenges, I think, for people who are in the military is that they only think about what they did in the military. That's true of any job, that if you've done it for a long time, it's hard to think outside of how can you apply the skills you do have and the experience you do have to something that you don't have words for in the civilian sector. And I really think that the vocabulary is part of the problem, but certainly, how do you translate that? That has to be
well, Jan, there's a lot of, there is. It's terrifying, and I just went through it recently. Okay, what do I do? But to me, it's not the specific skill, it's the capability. You take someone in the military, they've done a number of things, a broad range, even as an individual that has a specific specialty. They've proven that they can be trained in a very technical environment and perform in combat conditions. So employers are really, and that's why they come to me. They say, we have the base qualifications here. We could take them and we'll train them to do what our needs are. So skills translation, I have to communicate that back into the people that are looking at it. Don't worry about it. You've got the basics. You've got the foundation, and there's people out there that are looking for you because of that, not because of a technical specific skill.
Okay. All right. Well, then you answered that question really well. So people just need to understand that there really is an opportunity. They just have to know what to do in order to make that next step. Do you work or talk to military personnel prior to them transitioning? Is that how this?
Yes,
how your role, part of what you do?
I'm really, as I said about earlier, that 300,000. I want to get a message out to that entire group, if I can, a year prior.
Wow. Okay.
Because that gives me an opportunity to communicate what the needs are here for our local employers.
Yes.
Give transitioning personnel an opportunity to say, okay, well, maybe I would like to do that. Let me investigate it a little bit and ease the process, so you don't, as is the case for many people, all of a sudden, oh, I get out, now what do I do? And it's that's a frightening prospect.
Yeah, it is, when you don't have any way to
average individual coming out of a first term enlistment, married, kids, house, obligations.
That's heavy.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Do you? And that is a group, a large group. You had mentioned that those who are younger and a certain age group, 20 to 24, I believe it is.
The unemployment statistic for the 20 to 24-year-old veterans right now is approaching 30%.
And that's here.
Across the country.
Across the country,
Yes,
and here is no exception.
No, ma'am.
So there's a whole sector of people that are emerging and
Yes,
coming
ma'am.
into our area that need work and may not have 25 years of experience in the military, but they still are veterans and they are still coming into our...
And I'm already a pre-screened, highly qualified group of individuals.
Yep, that's right. So the opportunity for employers is tremendous.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
You're bringing them all together, or that is what you are striving to do.
Hopefully so. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Is there any way that people can find out more about what's involved in this? I mean, are you a point of contact for?
I would absolutely love to be a point of contact. We have an initiative right now. I'm working with Tidewater Community College Center for Military and Veterans Education and Goodwill Industries of Central Virginia, as well as the Virginia Values Veterans Initiative, to create an employer-centric one-stop that will educate employers on the benefits and the value of hiring veterans and facilitate their process to go in there and communicate their need to the people who are transitioning, and not after they get out and are searching for what to do. So it is an easier process for both.
Right. Takes the fear out of getting
Yes, ma'am.
back into the civilian sector. Yes, well, and that's what it's all about. Fear does keep people from, it immobilizes people. So
It does.
Yeah, this is a great step in the right direction. Thank you for sharing some of your time and information, interesting information about our area, as I really had no idea it was that extensive. And we know we have a military around us, but the numbers really tell.
It
quite
is
a
an
story.
eye-opener.
It
was
is.
for me as well, to be
It
honest
is.
with you. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me, ma'am.
My pleasure. Well, still to come, the Veterans Administration's Aid and Attendance Pension is a wonderful resource for some, but not everyone. Details when we return. Welcome back to Human Services Forum. There is a little-known benefit, pension from the VA, that is gaining a lot of attention lately, and that can be good news for some and not so good news for others. Just depends on your circumstances, but it's an important thing, particularly for some of our vets from World War II and from Vietnam and their widows who might be hearing about the aid and attendance pension for the first time. And with me, I have Christina Drum-Boyd, who is not only an accredited VA agent, but she also is a geriatric care manager who became certified after learning a lot about this pension that's been around for decades, and yet people aren't hearing about, but is also concerned that the misinformation that might be coming out of this cannot serve the best of purposes sometimes. It may not be for everyone, this particular benefit. So let's start with the actual benefit itself. Christina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
And what that is, it's a long name, and it was buried for many years.
It was. The benefit's formal name is actually the Aid and Attendance Pension, and you can also receive what's called a Special Housebound Rating.
Okay.
For short, it's been referred to as ANA.
Okay.
The benefit is not new. It has been around actually since 1951.
Wow.
It was available. Unfortunately, it's sort of laid dormant for a long period of time, and most of the Veterans Services employees weren't trained on it specifically for that reason, because there weren't a lot of people applying for it.
And what is it that it provides?
The Aid and Attendance Pension is an old age pension for veterans or widowed spouses of veterans who are over the age of 65 or who have a permanent disability. So we actually found out about the pension, myself and my firm, because we do geriatric care management at Care Connect of Hampton Roads. And we had an elderly lady who came in who had lost her husband. He was a veteran, and when he passed, he lost the benefit that he had from the military. So that substantially cut into her income on a monthly basis. She had applied for the benefit. She was having some difficulty in finding out whether or not she had been approved for it. But the pension itself helps to supplement the costs of care for individuals who meet specific income and medical criteria. There's also specific asset criteria as well. The challenge with the pension, it is available, but you have to be very careful in making application for it because you have to meet these specific guidelines. And unfortunately, the guidelines are not extremely clear as far as information that's provided through the Veterans Administration themselves. In their defense, they're very overwhelmed with the number of applications that are coming through. The benefit is substantial to the extent that, for instance, a married couple can receive a maximum of $2,019 per month tax-free each and every month to supplement their costs of care. So you can imagine if you have an individual who's living in an assisted living facility, for instance, and their cost of care on average is anywhere between $3,000 to $4,000 a month, that's a huge amount of money to make sure that they're getting the care that they need. The specific requirements as far as medical need and being able to demonstrate that is that they have to show that they need the aid and attendance of another individual, and that has to be documented by a physician. So their lack of ability to perform what's called activities of daily living, such as bathing and dressing, and perhaps they need medication administration. Those are things that essentially would help them to qualify from a medical perspective for the benefit. As far as income and asset tests, that's something that is very unclear to a lot of people who apply for it because they're being told essentially that you can't have a certain number of assets, but that number is not clearly defined. But really what it comes down to, and I'll give you an example, in our office if we provide assistance, is that if we have somebody who has, let's say, $4,000 in monthly income and then they have $4,000 in medical expenses, recurring monthly medical expenses, they certainly can qualify for the maximum benefit under this program in their category. So it's not necessarily with how much income they make each and every month. It's a matter of the calculated recurring monthly medical expenses that reduces their income.
So the paperwork can be quite
It's overwhelming.
Quite overwhelming.
It is. It's overwhelming to the person that's applying, and it's overwhelming right now to the Veterans Administration who's processing all of these applications. There are 57 regional offices, and the last numbers essentially that we had is that for veterans essentially that were just veterans of World War II, we had 1.7 million here in the United States that were veterans of World War II and eligible to receive the pension benefit, meaning that they met the medical criteria and needed assistance. Out of that 1.7 million, only over 38,000 veterans actually received the benefit. That's in the entire United States. And only 38,000 of the widowed spouses of veterans were awarded the pension. So they're very backlogged. They have tried to add additional employees at all of the regional processing centers. In fact, over the last 10 years, the number of employees has almost doubled.
They're still trying to keep up.
And they are.
Well, there are more and more veterans, too, that might qualify just because of the age.
Exactly.
And, yes, that disability and the age requirement. So you've got a big mountain to climb in regards to that. What do you do quickly to advise people when they're looking into this? So we put up a website for the aid. So people can maybe get a little clearer idea of what the benefit provides.
Very good.
Any caveats or something quickly you can tell people?
I think that the biggest thing is you need to really understand the time frame associated with it. You have to be very clear that you're meeting all of the criteria, and that's one of the things that we carefully screen. In our office, we do not charge essentially to do the pre-screening and to assist with the process because we need to make sure that they're going to meet the qualifications, because the benefit can take anywhere from 6 to 8 months right now for the benefit to be awarded. And some of our seniors, depending upon their medical situation, some of them can't wait that long.
Right. So that's a real challenge, is the time it takes to get the thing processed and the time that people have in order to get the benefit. I wish we could speak a little longer on this, but apparently we've run out of time. We did want to put up the address. We have your name and number, as well as the pension information, because then that was created, that website was created by somebody who wanted to make sure it was very clear.
Yes.
And so I think you'll find all of that very helpful, but it's a new benefit. You'll be reading more about it, I'm sure, and hearing a lot more about it.
Correct.
But it's a great benefit. It's tough to get, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't try, but
yeah, please don't just assume you won't qualify.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Christina,
for having me.
coming on the show. And thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time. Bye.